All right. We're coming up on the Texas border, passing the Windstar World Casino. Give it a whirl. Hopefully it doesn't mean it's going to get a whirlwind. Reap what you sow, and you might be reaping the whirlwind. All right. Well, we hit some traffic there. It's pretty intense. Road construction is like you're really doing this at this time of the day on a Friday, and this is happening. But you know what? The majority of the issue is when it goes down to one lane. Everybody's like, "No way, you're not getting in front of me. No way, no way," and that's what causes the traffic jam. If everybody be okay, you go, now you go, okay, one after another, you go. So you should probably like instruct people, okay, when you're, we recommend when you're driving that you let one person in front of you at a minimum, and then keep going, and then the person, and then they let you over, that kind of thing, Boy, they have big cannabis in Oklahoma. I didn't think they'd be so big cannabis. Oh, you have to get a medical card, though. I mean, you actually have to have a need, like you want to smoke marijuana. Now, I'm not against it, because the bigs in marijuana world said, you smoke it anyway. They smoke it anyway. They never had trouble getting it. It was just kind of illegal. And most cops are like, well, I'm not going to spend my time busting somebody on marijuana and spend all that time, and they're going to get released, and there's somebody out there selling heroin. Get it? All right, I gotta get ready here. I'm passing the Red River. What's this? An adult video place on the border here?
Welcome to Texas.
Here we go. Hopefully it sounds okay. There it is. Chauffeur into Texas. Holster the chauffeur back up. Woo! I can see Ted Cruz. He just said, "Welcome to Texas." That's not my Ted Cruz impersonation. Ted Cruz investigation. Ted, they're trying to take you down. They're watching you. They're investigating Ted for some reason. They're looking for everything, Oh, wait. We want to know every single person that ever donated to Ted Cruz. Every single one. Ever. Yes, the FBI must investigate this, even though there's people being trafficked all across this nation and heroin is rife in every community, even in the middle of nowhere in the mountains. What about a waste of time? Look at Chef. Are they nuts or what? Wacko. See, that's what I was saying the whole time. All these priorities in the freaking world. All priorities in the freaking world. They tried to get me to say that word. We're going to remove curses from Texas. Curses and curse words removed from Texas. Hey, who's the GI over there at the Welcome Center? I went, freaking. Well, they willed it. They're so mad that I blew the shofar. But if you study the rabbis over the years, they explain all this. But if you're like, oh, I'm Hasidic and that's it, or I'm Messianic and that's it, or I'm Lubavitch or Baal or whatever it is, or I follow Rabbi Amden, or I follow this person or that person, Vilna Gaon or whatever it is, you'll never get the answer. See, God constructed. Now, I'm not telling you there's a million ways to heaven. There's only one way, and that's God. Even the Jesus plan, salvation, the only way you're going to get there is with God. You're not getting there any other way. It's a gift of God, lest anyone boast. Saved through faith. See, faith is a gift of God. You can't even have faith without God. You can't even have faith without God. Deserves a shofar blow. I had it sitting in my mouth, or at the edge of my mouth wrong. It was too far forward. That's when it sounds like flatulence. You have to stick it way in the back. But it's easier if you have your fingers loose, because you can put your fingers over there and control your lips. Your left finger, says. So, I gotta find me a gas station. Have to buy some caffeine. I don't know. I think I have to. It's been a rough few days, but I'm into it. I mean, this is what life's about: suffering. You know. That's how you get out of that place. Get away. Don't say please through me. Get away. Get away. Away, you spirits of evil. Boy, the wind. I think the wind picked up here in Wichita Falls. Sherman 82 exit. This truck makes a great wind sail. So it is what it is. You know, they knew if I had money, it wouldn't have mattered to me. I mean, not that much. I mean, a few thousand extra a year would be great. 10,000 to 12,000 extra a year would be amazing. They knew that. They keep sending their messages, calling people up. Hey, he gets nothing! He gets nothing, you hear me? He gets nothing, you get nothing! You understand? That's a deep state. They're insane old devils. Or then they bring in the one. You understand? He gets nothing and you get something. No, it's total anarchistic criminal enterprise government. Hey, Trumpies Fishers. Oh, Rumpies. For a while, when I would type Trump, it would always come out Rump. I think they were doing. They alter what I type sometimes. I proofread okay, but I'm not going to sit there and be slave to proofreading. No way. I just don't take your Twitter or your Facebook that serious. We gotta make sure it's perfect the first time. Earth is useless. Slugs. Is that a Quality Inn? That's interesting. Whoever the architect was did a great job. That can't be a Quality Inn. It's got to be something else. Oh, Liberty Luxury Living. That's nice. Well, that's nice. What's wrong with this road here? Is it the reservation? That, you know, you hit a Native American area and nobody wants to fix the roads for them. They're like, Native American, they got bumpy roads. You're not going to be paved in it all. Well, you know, they have an offset. You know, I know some native people, and then some are oil wells. You know, the Osage. You don't work? No, we have oil wells. We have tribal medicine. or travel medicine care, or health care, whatever they call it. I guess the travel medicine would be travel health care. Oh, the tribe takes care of that. Oh, okay. Yeah, so, I mean, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen another when you're Native American. But the other thing is they're very racist. They get to be racist for nothing. Of course we're racist. You stole our land. It's not really racist. We're culturally not allowing appropriation of our people into your genetic pool. But actually, Native Americans are some of the most racist people on earth. They get away with it all the time. I mean, they're not bad people, but, you know, I mean, some of them are like, yeah, I can't believe we're just racist. This is crazy. I was growing up like, oh, if I marry somebody white, they'll take everything away from me. I'll be a nobody. My kids will be ostracized. No medical card for your kids. You married a whitey. I don't know what the answer to that is, but that's Earth, you know. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. TexasDuckDogs.com. Ooh, hello. Texas Duck Dogs. www. That's how duck says www. TexasDuckDogs.com. You know, when I was growing up, I was a Field and Stream person. I'm a vegetarian now. I'm like, this is kind of weird, isn't it? I used to dream of trapping. And I bought, like, I didn't just get that. I got the Coon Allen magazines. What else did I get? I used to get the trap. What was that? Bait and trap? Fern trap? I can't remember it. I used to get this little booklet magazine, though, and it was all about trapping and all this. And I was like, Jedediah Smith. Well, I got a lot of knowledge on hunting, trapping, everything. And then one day, God's like, okay, now we're vegetarians. I can't just think about it. No! But it's like me. I tried to explain it before. There's nothing wrong with you being not a vegetarian. And it's my take on everything. I'm not going to lord over it. Get it? Lord over it. So I'm not going to be God. See, lording over something means you're trying to be God in somebody's life. So I'm not going to be trying to be God. But, you know, God kind of explained it to me. You're kind of like a Nazarite now. You're changing. But see, what you don't understand is God has patterns of behavior, and you can find them places. Hey, look, a cow on a tractor. Or what do you call it, a combine? What do they call it? I'm a big Alamo guy, too. Did I ever tell you that? I studied the Alamo when I was young. I fought it like 1,000,000 times in my head. But I love Mexican people, so I'm like, well, I feel conflicted. I love Mexican people, but I'm like the Alamo. I'm gonna be in traffic. I really don't care. I mean, you know, once a year I get into Beltway commuter traffic. You know, I don't even get into traffic in Oklahoma City. I always get around it. I don't like people sit in traffic. Now, it might take me just as long to get where I'm going, but I don't sit in traffic. This highway was the first time I ever sat in traffic. I don't remember how long. I don't even think I hit any traffic driving from Santa Fe to Oklahoma City. Now, remember, Oklahoma City has some nice people, They're just not powered up enough to break through the evil government people that are there. Now, is it everybody in government? Of course not. I told you that. Are the other people going to stop them? Of course not. They don't want to have a life like mine. They're not interested in moving into Texas. The only question I have, I couldn't finish that one. Does Google own Oklahoma City now in Oklahoma? Is there an ownership there? I mean, you could say no, but what's the truth? Do they have sway? Does Google have sway? Did Google kill former Senator Nichols with forced suicide? They're part of it. I'm telling you right now, Google's a major player in forced suicide. Psychological warfare, forced suicide. Google's a major player. It's funny to watch people speak about worldly possessions and money as if it's all there is. Because remember, I'm not making all that. I mean, I make better than most people that are, living the life I live. I mean, they'll just keep taking their job. However, all I really wanted was a little bit more. I don't need to be a millionaire. Now, if I was a millionaire, God would have a lot to do. And we'd do it. So it's not a big deal. But a little bit more. But you watch these people, and they're like that, and then they talk about Christianity. And it isn't like, they're like, look what he's got. He's nobody. But, they're into the church and all that, and, it's okay. Everybody's a sinner. But you have to say that and mean that for that to apply to your life. You see, by what judgment you mean. So again, no matter what comes out of my mouth, you always hear me go, well, and I'm not sure. I mean, it's up to God. Well, based upon what he's telling me, this is what it is. So again, you see, the Bible is very, very liberating, but it's very defined in detail on how everything fits together and works. It's not a gross mechanism. It's a very fine mechanism. But that fine mechanism is designed to drive you nuts till you stop doing what you're doing in judgment of others. Because the whole thing God explained to me real quick, and Jesus was there. It was in the beginning when I woke up, probably 2005 or so. They said, look, the whole thing is everybody was judging everybody, and it's a curse to judge people with your heart. If you judge somebody with your heart, you're cursing them. It's a fact of life. Satan enters in, you accuse them with Satan, they go down. In whatever way they go down. But I'm not doing that. Remember, everything I say is balanced on God. So, everybody starts judging everyone. And what happens is when you go down, I said this before, there's a point where sin begins. And serious sin. If you fall below that, and the further you fall below it, the more it increases. But if you fall below that, the sinning begins, the crime begins. It's all there. You have to fight it just to survive it. And so God's devised this mechanism of religion that would say, okay, you're judging them, this applies, that applies, and that'll be just. And Jesus came to the same thing. All the way through, they're doing the same thing. They're readjusting the power away from the deep state, the satanic people, away from Satan, all synonymous with Satan. And they're giving it back to the people so they can do what? Live a sinless life. Or a close to sinless guy. Of course, God knows you can't be sinless. Jesus even said that he was not good. But do you know what that did for him? By what? Judgment. Right. So Jesus says, I'm not good. There's only one good, that's God. So Jesus said right away, look, we're all in this together. We're all fallen. Nobody's good. And the Bible says nobody seeks after God. Nobody. Nobody at all. I don't either. I mean, and when I say that, understand, you've seen that. You've seen me seek after God. You've seen me steer away from God. But what am I doing? Self-preservation. Again, that system exists. So what does the devil do? A devil says one day, well, the more he says Jesus, the more of a sinner he becomes. That's what they do. So God understands this. And he sends Jesus. And says, okay, forget it. Game over. All bets are off. But what do you do in the church is you all reinvent that game using the New Testament. And, of course, the Old Testament without balancing it on the New Testament. And the funny thing is, it's like the hardest thing in the world to deal with all of you, because you're like, Earth stopped after Jesus died. There would be never, ever any other word that would ever, ever come in any way, shape, or form. That's it. It's over. God would never speak to anyone else. Nobody would have anything to say. It's over. Now, I do see in some churches they're starting to prophesy. So that's great. Oh, wait, I got to look at I'm getting somewhere here. So, these are the things that we know. That every time, well, that would be a nice house to restore. Every time we get somewhere, Satan enters in and tries to reverse it. So again, all the work in the Bible is really re-empowering the people. And you don't become awoke, you become awakened. Now, the only question I have, I know Satan was part of it, was the CIA or those type of people involved in making a pseudo-awoke thing so that awakening would be tainted? Because without awakening, it's very hard for anything to exist within Christianity within a real way. So remember, the whole goal of the Bible is to re-empower people to live a better life, but that's spiritual. You can't do it with physical stuff. And it doesn't matter how spiritual you are, if somebody is engaged in demonic devil activity at that level of devil, you're not going to beat it. But that's where Jesus comes in. And the more you strive to spread the real good news of that free gift, the harder it is to fight the wiles of the devil, because the devil makes sure of it. So what will happen is a lot of people will start fighting it and be afraid of becoming a sinner. So they'll back off. Because all their life they're being taught as these phony and fake seers is that you have to go this way and you can't go that way. And that's true to a certain degree. But at a certain point, you got to tell that thing to get lost, because he's making the ministry become Pontius Pilate, King Herod. Now they call President Trump King Herod. Is that about nuts as what? Or what? It's psychological projection. Look, I'm passing Pilot Point Boulevard. Something going on in Venezuela. I'm passing Pilot Point Boulevard. Hey, Sanger's trying to get in touch with me. Well, that was probably like 8 years ago. It was the U.S. Attorney Sanger. It just came up in my head for the first time in like a gazillion years. So yeah, you all are cooperating with the FBI and the CIA, and they're trying to turn people into transsexuals and things such as that. And you are cooperating, church. That's just the way it's working. Now, if you have sexual sin in your life and they're using that to bind you, well, then you either need to find a church that's normal or step down and go away from the church. Because, you know, if you were to realize how small that is in the larger picture, then you might figure out what Satan's doing, telling you to fire your pastor if they have one sexual sin. Now, I'm not speaking about something such as child molestation or something like that. And I'm not speaking about 1 or 2 times. I'm speaking about a repetitive event where the pastor is a predator. What you'll find is the predators stay in, and one pastor falls once, like, get rid of him, because the deep state's the one that set the whole thing in motion to begin with. And that being the CIA. I believe some of the famous preachers that had issue, the deep state did them. No, they drugged them. I mean, you have to be smarter than the enemy. You're getting rid of your best people. I'm glad to see Jim Bakker living a great life. I could be jealous of Jim Bakker if I wanted to, but I'm not. I'm glad for him. You know, Jim Bakker did a lot of good. I mean, if you experienced in the 70s and the 80s the televangelist ministries and what they could do for you, regardless of how following any particular pastor was or is, if you could realize what that meant. I mean, we didn't have internet, and it ain't better on the internet. Preaching doesn't get better than it did on televangelism. I'm telling you that right now. Now, I love old-time Baptist camp meetings. I loved all that. You all ruined it. God condemned it because they participated with the beast in taking out my life. But it's there. I mean, those letters that people write in. Now, did they do the wrong thing with the money? Yes, no, maybe. Okay? We're not even going to go there. Let's go to that person. Let's talk about the person that sent money in and said something to the preacher about how they felt. Because that's a real experience. They were having a religious experience that was beyond anything available to them where they were at that given moment. You had people from every small town, every small village, and in between, rural people that lived on a farm. They're experiencing divine intervention and immaculate, miraculous healing. But yet, if the CIA operates that preacher, he's done for, or she's done for. Now, again, I know all of you don't accept women, but, if I don't accept women, I don't accept Judge Deborah. And there were others. These are great women. Do they belong not in the pulpit? Well, if you say so, then your church will be like that. That's the freedoms of our nation. But, the only thing I have a problem with in church is corruption, and I mean real corruption. If you fall and commit a self-sin or even involve someone else, but it's not organized crime, racketeering, because that's what the beast is. The racketeering laws were designed to destroy the beast, but they're using it now to empower the beast because they won't use them, except some drug organization with teenage African Americans or something. I'm looking at it going, that wasn't the original reason, I mean, it's novel, and if you would use it for everything where it was supposed to be, but if they use it for everything where it's supposed to be, the CIA would be charged with RICO, FBI would be charged with RICO, so on and so forth. So again, I understand that also. But you should understand that it is RICO, and of course it means nothing to you today. Victory, world outrage, Jesus. I have to drop my car off in Denton. Hey, here, you can have it back. He'll probably go to a boneyard. That's what I think. If I just junk it. I got 500 for my Volkswagen real quick. That car went through some stuff. I traveled on. That was my red Beetle got me a few places. But you have to understand, when the deep state is killing you, you're watching somebody go through the motions of life, but none of it's real. Everybody's already prepared to deny that person life, liberty, and happiness. I was glad I got out. I didn't know Oklahoma had mountains. Boy, that's make you seasick. I developed this thing. I just start yawning when I go through the mountains. Because it pops your ears, gets that pressure out of there. I just so if you see me yawning, I'm usually going up and down the mountains. So yeah, the biggest issue with the church is real corruption. But was that what it really meant? The Bible's clear in using the term corruption. So again, what we tend to see, don't pardon my French, don't pull out in front of me, I can't stop. I can't go in the left lane. Pardon my French. I should just start saying, oh dung. I want to say it all the time, so I actually say it. Because shit is dung, dung shit. So when we look at the Bible language, it seems...
6-minute slowdown caused by construction on I-35 East South.
Construction ahead! That's what the voice should say. I mean, they got, hey, I-35. She's like, you're stuck in it! No! That's what the voice should say. I wonder if they have one where you can record your voice. Hey, there it is. Hey, I'm gonna live here later. I think this is it. God said, remember Jesus didn't move around with the ark. So again, God said you're going through a series of biblical activities. And if it doesn't work out in Tyler, you might be giving the ark away to somebody poor. So we'll see. And then I'll just travel in a vehicle. So again, we live in a certain world. Oh, hey, thanks for pulling in front of me there, auto carrier. This is the way they always drive in Dallas. Is this Dallas? Am I in Dallas? I'm north of Dallas. I guess. I mean, in the metro. I think I'm in the metro. I'm in the metro area. So again, we have this church. Remember, did Jesus ever say the word church? Nope. Yeah, I answered it for you. So we have this church-driven concept. Well, you can't say shit. Well, Bible says shit. So again.
Keep left to continue on I-35 East South. Follow signs for I-35 East South, Dallas.
It says I-35 East Dallas. It says... No, they're not making sense. Okay, there it is.
Keep left to continue
35 East South Dallas. That's weird. Or 35 West South. I understand what it's now. It's a beltway, so I should understand. Okay.
for 10 miles.
For 2 miles. Then where? So the church creates this idea of what you can do and what you can't do, as if you have power within yourself. Now, it tells you that there is a power, and don't be wimpy and use that power, and don't be caught doing this, caught doing that. But yet, when we look throughout the Bible, we see people caught doing things that you'd never do. And I brought it up before, just to put it in perspective. I'm sure the FBI doesn't appreciate it, because they don't appreciate anything I do. But I just saw some more of it, and I'm like, again, I don't condone criminal activity. And if it was legal, I don't condone marrying 12 years old or 12-year-olds. So don't let them tell you that's what I'm speaking about. But when you condemn Islam, you have to understand the same stuff was in Judaism and early Christianity. It was nice, traffic, construction. I was looking at Fort Worth. I was close to moving to Fort Worth. I'm going to reinvestigate my blood pressure down here just to make sure it was legitimate, because they told me I didn't have it. But I felt real relaxed, so that's probably what it was. All right. Denton Baptist Temple up and down. Let's Google it real quick, or at least not Google it, but look for it there online. www.dentonbaptist.com. So again, we find when you judge, the Bible's constructed and has enough information within it to cause you to criticize something that depowers you. So we're not to judge with our heart. You're human. You're going to say things. You're going to do things. Remember, Jesus wasn't into prisons. Now, I'm a correctional officer, so, I've been in corrections. I love the science. I think it's a fabulous science. I enjoyed helping people while I was there, both staff and inmates. But, Jesus is not a Bible... out of here. Is not a jail person. Jesus is a Bible jail person, which means while you're in Rome, you don't do as the Romans do. You do as Jesus does. So that gets you in trouble sometimes, but not so much. You know what? They were just gunning for me. That's why I had trouble. Just face it. There's a DEA agent. There's a whole show, Unshackled. DEA agent engages in this ministry with this prisoner. The guy he arrests and, helps him get saved and all that. And, even after he comes out of prison, he's there. And it's really not allowed. You're not allowed to associate with felons. So again, when in Rome, the Romans are doing whatever it is they do, and what they do. Well, it's actually a red badge of courage. Well, it wasn't a red badge of courage because I was never chicken like that. The only thing is I hold back when I believe that God doesn't want it to happen at that moment. That's the time that you witness to somebody. Some people get wrecked. Oh, I didn't tell them about Jesus. Well, sometimes God don't want you to. It's just not there for you to do. So again, you have to realize that there is a larger plan. But then you get the people who go, well, I never have to say it then, right? It's never the time for me. People hate you. People hate you when you bring up God. I brought up God to people who are Satan worshipers. Rock and roll band. I told them it's God. God exists. Like, what are you doing here for? Huh? Leave us alone. We're like Satan worshiping black metal people. But they couldn't the thing is I didn't look like what does a preacher look like, right? Preacher becomes all things, theoretically. So I got my what are those things called? I made sure they weren't leather. They were like pleather. Those bracelets with the studs on them, the sharpened studs. I had those on. All black. I don't know what else I was wearing. What else was I wearing? Oh, my do-rag on the head, my long black one, because it looks like death metal kind of thing. So like, okay. There's some really good people in that genre, where they are with God. I can't believe they're totally lost per se. Not all of them. I'm telling you, of course, some of them are evil and some are lost. That you can find that in the church, anywhere else, also. But they have information that only God could give them. So again, the signs, and of course, there's also signs of Peter, as I explained. Saint Peter, the disciple Peter, Apostle Peter, whatever you call him. This is actually like a weird traffic jam. Oh, is it that one thing where they have to switch one lane and everybody dies because, like, no, you're not getting in front of me. Well, I think it ends up here. I think we're going to speed up here. Yeah, that's what it was. They all had to merge into 2 lanes from 3, and everybody's like, no. If you listen to God, there would be no traffic jams because it would be like ballet on the road. I've been there. Believe me, I was on a highway. God showed me exactly how God could control traffic. Perfection. But Esther Williams' swimming ballet or whatever that was. Should make a song called this Work Convoy. Gotta work convoy. Gotta work convoy. I never saw that sign before in my life. Work convoy. What's a work convoy? Boy, they got a lot of Harbor Freights around here, don't they? So the church creates a standard. You can't live without a standard, could you? Again, it does things to restrict God. But I'm not telling you, hey, it's Corinth. Hey, Corinth. You seen Philadelphia? I'm not telling you to embrace sin, but I'm telling you to embrace the sinner. And you don't always have the ability to wash them clean. It's just part of where we live. However, God doesn't look on the physical sin. If God did, to begin with, if God looked at physical sin, none of us would get anywhere. So God doesn't see the sin. God really doesn't. But what God sees is the hurt from that sin. Both ways. The person that sins gets hurt, spiritually harmed. So that's why causing somebody to fall causes them to be spiritually damaged. Now, it doesn't harm their soul, but it harms their spirit and their body. And then, of course, a lot of times when they fall, they might fall and harm someone else. So again, that's in the account of those that are the stumbling block. And a lot of times that goes physical. Like in the middle of explaining this, you'll go, okay, I saw somebody the other day do something. Well, that doesn't mean that that's the origination of the fall. There's too many devils, demons, antichrists, witches, and sorcerers with power. I mean, just look at them. Look at the lives they're living. They've got power. I mean, most Christians that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, that have fallen away within the church, believing that they're getting closer, because it was built like that by Satan to confuse everyone, are actually just kind of, what do they call that? The prodigal son. See, I had to say it like that, so people go, oh, I said prodigal son so fast, I can't go to church because people say prodigal son just like snapping their fingers. You have to be careful in being too biblical without being general. In other words, Scripture, yes, preaching the cross, it's great, but what is preaching the cross? What is it? Every church has a different idea of what preaching the cross is, and some don't even want to know what it is. I try to give the gospel when I can. But first I got to give God. I got to say, God exists. I mean, you're around people like that. So how do you do that? Well, God's helping you there. God can't always help you, but in that moment, God could help you. Because there's a spiritual battle playing out here. So when I go through my day and I go through a move, God's narrating what's going on. God was everywhere. God was doing things like lifting my hat with my hand. God would, if I'd have a thought and then I'd lift my hat and put it back on, it would be God. God would I would say something and somebody outside would go, beep, 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 beep. So God was there. God was there, made a beautiful day yesterday. It was kind of harsh today. And God said, they got so mad at you moving, and such a beautiful day it was yesterday, they ruined weather for everyone. See, it isn't God that makes that weather. You all do. See, and that's the deep state. The deep state's out there cursing people to hard weather because they want trouble for them. And they say, oh, you gotta pay us to get the weather well. You.
Keep right at the fork to stay on I-35 East South.
Look at what I got coming up here. If you give the deep state millions and millions of dollars for anything, it'll never stop. No, we still need it. I mean, the last thing that's going to happen is you're going to fix the weather with giving them money. They're devils. They want it to stay like that. Now we haven't got it there yet. Yesterday it was 35 degrees and today it's 45. Climate change. You need to give us money to fix that. God told me the answer is biospheres. God told me this years ago. He said, the answer is biospheres. Why you're not creating biospheres for one another, we got no idea. You live in a biosphere with filtered air. I mean, you go outside, you still have to go outside, you still have to mature in the open environment. But your housing structure should be biospheres. Biosphere is the most intelligent thing in the world. Trying to figure out what's going on here. Oh, there's a toll. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do here, because I remember reading about the toll. I didn't have time to think about it. But guess what? Oh, that's not it. No, I'm supposed to have like $20 here somewhere. I'm just not sure how tolls work anymore. I haven't been on a toll road in so long. Well, I'm going to go because I got to focus on this toll road coming up. Well, praise God and all that you do.